I am Keltie Cheney. I've been working with pain, acute and chronic, for about a little over 13 years. So I've seen a decent number of people kind of coming in at my door that have been challenged by this. And I have a big passion for it because I can see how much people end up suffering. And there's a lot of misunderstandings, and there's a lot of constant looking for the next thing to change my pain. And then comes the frustration because you can't seem to get a handle on it. And so the biggest tool that we have as people that are professionals in this field is the education. And so nothing I can do with my hands is nearly as effective as what I can tell you in terms of your brain understanding your body, because that can change everything. So that's what today is really kind of about, is hopefully giving you guys some tools to be able to kind of feel a little more confident in your questions and understanding your body a little bit better, so that that can propel you into doing some things that are positive, to decrease that sensation, to decrease those frustrations, and to kind of get past some of the frustrations you have. We do have a couple take-home things that you can take. One's going to be a pain truth questionnaire that I got from a great website that I can talk to you about after. But it's kind of a questionnaire that we will delve into every point, so hopefully you'll be able to get everything right. And there's about, I don't know, I forget, maybe 16 or 17 questions, which means there are 16, 17 questions that a lot of people ask, and I'm hoping you'll know the answer to by the end of this 45-minute or so discussion. I want to make this really informal. I want to make it so that if you have questions and you don't understand what I just said, because I tend to speak quickly, then pop up your hand. I'm happy to kind of just get right into it and answer your questions. So I'm going to talk a little bit at first about what the pain is, and then we'll go to the overview side. And then, of course, there are many types of pain. Like this gentleman alluded, there's arthritic pain, and there's injury, and all those kinds of things. Kind of get a quick snapshot of the types of pain that we can have, and why you're here, because we advertise it as a chronic or persistent pain information. So that will be the real crux of it. So there are many things that you really do need to know about chronic pain that you may not know unless you've read lots of books and you've listened to lots of things on YouTube that are hopefully good and not good, or not bad. Then you may not know some of this stuff, and it's really good information to give you confidence in your body and the power that it has. And then Tyler gets to be the bearer of the good news, because he has to talk about what you can do for this pain. And it'll just be kind of an overview. We can't give you all exactly precisely what you individually will need, but at least it'll be something that you can take home. And then we do have 3 more workshops in January you can come to, and there will be some very specific things that we can give that hopefully will help specific to you. So let's begin. What is pain? So what do people think of pain right away? Why do we have pain? What is it?
Physical, uncomfortable.
Yeah? Yeah. Why do we get it?
I guess something's wrong.
Something's wrong, right? Yeah. So a real simplified version is you touch the hot stove, it hurts, you move your hand, right? So all that happens in milliseconds. You touch the stove, your nerves sense information, it goes to your brain, the brain says, if you keep doing that, that's gonna burn your hand. You better move your hand. So it turns the muscles on and you take your hand off the stove. But the pain is a good thing. We need to have that sometimes. It is a protective mechanism. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because we often forget the biggest part of that step. It's not the hand, it's not the nerve, it's what the brain hears and what it gets information from. So it's a 3-step process I'll go into a little bit. But if you can get this today, I will be really happy with myself, because I've done a good job if you understand this. Because pain is a conscious experience that motivates us to do something to protect your tissues that the brain perceives as a threat. So that last line is what we often forget is the underlying mechanism. We think of input of pain and then the output of moving, getting away from it and getting from danger. But we miss the middle step, that it has to cross into that brain. And that is what we're kind of delving into today, because persistent pain is a lot more about just what's happening in the tissues, is what the brain understands is happening to the tissues and what it perceives as a threat. So pain does not provide a measure. It's not a perfectly equal, synonymous relationship between this is harm and then this is pain, and they always coincide with the same amount. So if you can get that today as well, you'll have a much better understanding than most professionals in this city who don't treat pain because they don't remember that there's a connection between the input and the output. So go to the next slide. So there are many types of pain. There's the first pain that we as physios, we love to treat because they can be quick and easy. They don't have to make us think too hard. We've seen them thousands of times. They're wonderful. We get the falls and the slips, and I creaked my neck because I slept funny. I played my hockey and I twisted, I pulled something. We can treat those sprains and strains. We understand muscles really well. We understand ligaments and tendons, and we can get our hands at it. It's very satisfying as a health professional. Fractures, don't do a whole lot of that, that's time. And then the inflammations like the tendonitis. We know how to treat those really well. And they're in and out, ideally, within about 6 to 8 weeks. Then we have pathologies. So we get the things like infections and autoimmune diseases like celiac disease or irritable bowel disorder, lupus. When you get pain from those diseases, but that's not the persistent pain that we're talking about generally when we don't know the reason why. We know why I have pain when I eat gluten because I have celiacs, causing inflammation in my bowels. I have pain from that. But with persistent pain, we usually don't know why. And then there's, of course, cancer and cardiovascular disease. So the last column, the red, is where we're going to focus today. So under chronic pain, usually something that's lasting longer than the typical time a tissue should take to heal. Our bodies are really effective at sending inflammatory chemicals and healing things that have gone awry, and it heals up, and we move on, and we live life, and it's okay. But persistent pain after, well, say after 3 months is still kind of like, under 3 months is still kind of acute. But really, 3 months is a pretty big window for acute pain. So anything after 3 months, we'll see more of the issues like neurogenic or central sensitization. Neurogenic, anyone know what that means? Simply the nerves. So the nerves are basically the connector from the outside world going into our brain to get information. If we don't have nerves, well, we don't have anything because the brain doesn't sense anything, so it doesn't know how to tell anything, doesn't know how to output anything either. So we can have things go awry with your nerves. People don't think that. We think treat muscles, we treat ligaments, we treat this. We don't hear people saying, we're going to treat your nerves, but your nerves have issues. And we'll get into what happens with the nerves in a minute. Then we have central sensitization that can occur. Central sensitization means the central nervous system, so brain and spinal cord. So things can happen not only in the peripheral nerves, but it can happen in the central nervous system as well. And this can create the long-lasting pain. We don't know why it's there. Because it's past that 3-month window, things should be healed. We'll go to the next slide, please. So this is a fancy slide. Don't get too worked up about it. We've got on this side of the graph, pathology. On this side, we've got symptoms. So we understand when the pathology, the injury, the threat, the disease process, whatever, as it gets worse, as it gets higher, well, that would make sense if the symptoms also get worse because it's worsening. That makes sense. So, you asked about arthritis. Well, if your arthritis process is increasing and you're seeing on x-rays year after year that it's just eroding, well, that's why your knee keeps getting more sore. That kind of makes sense. We get that. We're not frustrated by that. And then if you go to someone who's really good and they intervene right there, and they tell you, well, this is how we keep that disease process from increasing. We mobilize and we strengthen and we decrease some of that inflammatory process. We educate you on what to do that's safe and what's not safe. Well, hopefully, you actually decrease your symptoms and hopefully your pathology as well. This is the happy place. Not only are you here because you realize this. We're here generally because of these two things. So when you have an increase of pathology, but sometimes you don't have an increase in symptoms. And that's very confusing as well. You think, well, my arthritis might be getting worse. Well, I'm still skating. I'm still playing my sports. Yes, I'll probably need a knee replacement by the time I'm 80, but it doesn't really hurt that bad. That's precisely my dad, who's played hockey since he was 3. His arthritis is getting stiffer and stiffer, but he's still playing his thing because his symptoms aren't worsening. And that doesn't make sense if you think that all pain is because of injury or hurt. And this is the real crux of what we're talking about today. So our pathology is not getting worse. It's actually probably better. But our symptoms are getting worse. And we don't know why. Because I should be getting better. My body's really good at healing. You just said that. Why are my symptoms still the same? So what exactly, yep, you can switch, is the pain experience? So we can think of it in the simple manner, and we can think of it in the more complex. So it's simple, like I alluded to before. There is an input. There's a processing going on with the brain. And then there's the output. You move out of the threat, you change, you do whatever you can to make sure you don't keep giving that same input that your brain is considering a danger. So I'm a terrible drawer, but this is my simplified version of what we'll call the pain experience. So we're going to start down here. There might be a painful experience. I don't know what it is. Say, like on March 1st this year, I decided to go to a trampoline place with my coworkers, and I landed funny, and I felt a pop on my left foot immediately. Pain immediately. So there's an injury or a threat. You have an input. It's not pain yet, because you haven't gotten to the second stage. We have an input. The nerve, the peripheral nerve, goes to your spinal cord. Then it goes off the spinal cord with 1,000 billion jillion other nerves, goes up to the brain. The brain has several things it goes through to computerize, basically, what it's just gotten input from. It has to figure out what that input is. In my case, it knew it felt a pop, and it knew something was wrong. It said, Keltie, if you keep doing something, you're going to make it worse. So there's an output, and my output was, ouch, this really hurts, don't put any more weight on it. And that's a good thing. I wanted that reaction in my body, because if I didn't have that reaction, and I didn't have pain, I would have walked out and probably made it significantly worse. So what we want to remember is that this is the processing station. And within that is fast, fast, fast. Can't even, I think, have a clue what kind of microseconds or nanoseconds we're dealing with. But the brain took in knowledge of many things. It took knowledge of what could have happened. You've got beliefs of what might happen if I do or don't, or what do people think. You've got the culture. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. People are going to think I fell, and I'm so klutzy, and this is awful, and I don't want to look like a baby getting out of here. There's fear, there's stress, there's experience or past experience, and it's all part of it. And this is not an exhaustive list. I don't want to go down here and bore you to tears. This is just a small picture of what the brain takes in different parts, okay?
Exactly, when I fell down about 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
in the winter, it's exactly what my brain has been gone through those things.
Sure. And the longer it goes on, the more of this is really going on, and the more output we're going to probably get, unless we're able to control what's going on up here. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. All right, so we can switch to the next slide. So what are the things that you should know? Why are you here today? What do I want that you guys will hear so that you might have a better understanding what pain really is? Okay, so injury and harm are not always needed for pain. Okay, injury is not always needed for pain. That's a hard one to buy until you hear those stories of someone who has a shark bite and they're out swimming in that Pacific Ocean, they're doing their surfing, along comes the shark, bites off your arm. Your first thought of your brain is not, oh my word, this hurts so bad, oh, I have to focus on this pain, it's just the worst pain, is it? You don't feel pain. You hear these stories, these people suffering these horrific accidents. They get back to shore, they get away from that shark, they get onto the beach, they get taken in the ambulance, and they get taken to the hospital. And you're like, oh my goodness, that must have been so painful when that shark bit you. They're like, no, I never really felt it, saw it. Kind of hurt my hand when I bumped it on the nose to get off of me, but I didn't notice it until when? Until they got into the ambulance, because no longer are they in danger. The brain can say, this is more important. I need to survive this. So it stops that pain process until it actually says, holy cow, that was really scary. Holy cow, I've just lost my arm. Holy cow, my nerves endings are all exposed. Now there is real pain, right? You hear those stories about wounded soldiers out in the field. Again, they might get hit in their leg, they might get hit in their side, they're horribly wounded, but they don't feel the pain until they get back to their infirmary, right? Then you also have some things like you alluded, I think, MRIs and CT scans and x-rays, right? Now, what people are not told when they go in for these tests is that most people that are asymptomatic, who have zero pain, have the same results as people that do have pain. In fact, most times, a surgeon will rarely go based on an MRI. They'll go on the symptoms of the person and the MRI, and never just by the MRI, because there are many studies showing that, I'm going to say these numbers, and hopefully I'm right, but they'll be close to it if I'm not, but ages 50, come on in, have a seat.
Great, I'm just going to go to the side a little bit.
Sure.
Front row syndrome.
that age 20 to 22-year-old healthy individuals with zero pain, okay, 20 years old, so these are babies, right? 48% of them have a herniated disc, okay? At least 25% of these 20-year-olds have degenerative disc disease, okay? So all that wearing and tearing in those joints, you have it at 20. 90% of people ages 50 to 55 with no problems have degenerative disc disease and bulge disc. I can go on and on about the hip, about the shoulder, about the knee. It is a part of our existence. So you can have no pain and have a horrible MRI. You can have a ton of pain and have a pretty decent MRI. They're not one and the same. And so I say that to not to say to discredit MRIs, to discredit CTs. I think they're very, very important. Problem is we get these things and we say, well, oh my word, I've got degenerative disc disease. I've got a herniated disc. I'm bound for life with pain. And it's just not true. Second point on this is pain does not always equal injury. So you can have pain without the injury as well. Think about a paper cut. Paper cuts are like the most painful thing. They're the tiniest thing. It does not make sense. To the severity of your injury, a little slice, and an hour is gone. But that first little bit, it's like you just got eaten by a shark, right? That does not correlate with the amount of pain that you're dealing with what the injury is. Then you've got phantom limb. You guys aware what phantom limb is? So you got someone who was in an earthquake and the building landed on their leg and it just smashed it. There's no leg left. They've had to amputate. Months, years later, they're still feeling the pain in their non-existent leg, right? That doesn't make sense unless you understand what pain is. Because the pain isn't in the leg, the pain is in the brain. And what the brain may still perceive as a threat. And until we teach the brain that it's no longer the threat, it does not need the limb to say that there's pain. And finally, you've got small damage sometimes over time if you've ignored your pain signals. So something that normally would not be a physiological danger can become very painful. Sitting in a car, not dangerous to your body if you think about that. That is not high force, it's not high velocity. But it can be very dangerous as a threat that the brain perceives, right? I give people the example, say I want to play baseball. So I'm learning to throw a ball, and I'm throwing it pretty good. I'm feeling good about myself. I'm hoping to make the team this year, right? The coach says, Keltie, you're doing pretty good, but if you got that a little bit faster, you're going to nail this team. So I work really hard, I speed it up, and I get it really increased. Now, I have a tolerance, we'll say, of 10 out of 10. My body will say, Keltie, you have this huge range of motion. Nothing's tearing, nothing's wearing. It's all fine and good. If you stay there, I'll be happy. I won't send any danger signals to you at all. But now because I have to go really fast, I'm going a little bit beyond. I'm not going too quickly. Maybe I'll get little microscopic tears to begin with. So I might be going to 11, right? Now 11 is actually physiologically a little dangerous. And my brain says, it hurts when I do that, but I have to make the team. So I'm going to just keep going through it. I'll heal. I'll rest in the next couple weeks. Once I make the team, I'll chill out. So I keep going to 11. But my brain doesn't like that. It says, you didn't listen to me when I told you there's going to be danger, so I'm going to shut you down a little bit more. So I'll let you go to 8 before I send the signal. So I can do this much movement, and I'll be fine. And maybe if I just did that movement for a little while, I could eventually get back to 10 out of 10. I really need to make the team. So I'm just going to keep going to that 11. I'm going to take my Tylenol. I'm going to take my Advil. I'm going to ice it so that way I don't feel the pain so I can keep doing it. But then the 8 turns into the 6. And then the 6 turns into the 4, and so on. Because once the brain says you're not listening to my danger signals, you're making that threshold lower and lower. So now I might not just be sore while I'm playing. I might be sore for a couple of hours later. I might be sore even when I wake up in the morning, even though I didn't do anything. I just slept. I slept in a really great position, and I'm sore. And so it's not just the structural changes that can happen. It's that your brain says, you didn't listen to me when I was telling you I didn't like what you were doing. And the sensitivity of your body goes higher, and your threshold for activity goes lower. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So the brain, as incredibly complex and amazing as it is, it's not always right. Okay? So sometimes, and I don't know if y'all experienced this before, but you came in with a foot problem, an ankle problem. And it's gotten mostly better, but not totally better. And you know, oddly enough, my left hip now is kind of starting to get sore. And we work on the left hip because it's a new issue. But you know what? Sometimes my left shoulder kind of kicks in too. And I don't know, I didn't do anything, but I'm getting kind of sore. Well, there's a reason why this happens. It's not because you keep hurting yourself. You can't blame it on age, because I hear it all the time. It's just because I'm getting older. Like, no, there's a lot more complexity to that than you realize. Because the brain has maps. And what you'll see up here is a little cross section. It's called the homunculus in the brain. It's a fancy word. And basically, it's like little real estates of your brain have certain sections that coordinate with different parts of your body. So like, for example, you've got here a section for the foot, section for the knee, section for the hip and trunk, and so on. And certain areas are bigger because like your hands have more sensitivity because they need it, right? It's developed that way for a very good reason, to keep you safe and whatever, to be able to do specific jobs. It's going to be a lot more sensitive than somewhere around your elbow. So there's more real estate for the hand than there will be for the elbow, okay? Now the problem is that sometimes when we spend a lot of time making those connections to places that are more painful, so say I really hurt my foot, and I've made a lot of good connections for that foot to be very careful. We need to really keep it safe because it's been in danger. That area can actually get bigger in that map, but there's only so much real estate in your brain. So what it'll do is it'll cross over on someone else's real estate. So now my foot, it crosses over to my left hip real estate. And so sometimes when my pain and my foot gets a little bit worked up, my left hip can get a little bit worked up. There's nothing wrong with your left hip. But the brain fires at the same time as the foot, as it will the hip. It's called smudging. It's neuroplasticity at its best. However, it's not helpful to you. It makes things worse. But then you start thinking, oh gosh, everything's falling apart, right? And then you start walking even a little bit differently. And my back is going to start to be a little bit more smudged because all the information is going to that too, right? It's incredibly complex and at the same time quite simple. But you have to know that. The brain, it may feel the pain. And it's 100% real. None of it is that it's in your head. Other than that, it's a lot in your head. So next is that it's all connected. So this is a beautiful specimen. This is a woman's nerves. These are cadaveric nerves that this scientist, Dr. Weaver, I believe, he dissected, I think it was his cleaning lady's body. She asked for it, she wanted it, and they were really close, I guess, and she said, I want my body donated to science. He takes everything out but the big nerves. So this is as simple as your nervous system is going to get, okay? Your nervous system is 45 miles long. Picture it as one string because it is all connected. It is one long elastic band. And if I pull a little elastic band down here, is there any way that that does not affect the rest of the elastic band? There is no chance. It is all one system. So if one system gets irritated and you move it in certain ways, it pulls everywhere else. It's like I pull my shirt on this way, well, I might be pulling down here, but I feel it up in my top left shoulder, right? That's your nervous system. It's one connective tissue, of course, going back into the brain. So the longer the pain remains, the lower the threshold for danger. So just like I'm ignoring that threshold, I'm ignoring my danger signal repetitively, I'm icing it out, I'm taking the Advil, I'm doing all those things so I don't feel that, doesn't change that the brain still feels it's a danger. And so it will continue to shut you down further. And then that's the point where it becomes that I don't have to do anything. And my pain hits. This is so frustrating. I'm not even doing my sport anymore. I'm resting, I'm doing what my chiro says, I'm doing what my physio says. I'm still in pain doing the littlest thing. Why? All right, move to the next one. There are many triggers for pain and not just injury. So we've definitely learned over the last 30 years about how much, because the brain is controlling everything, there's a million things going on in that brain. And if it's processing many things, like knowledge, beliefs, expectations, your culture, it is so much input as to what the output's going to be. If I'm someone who's an office worker and I love my job, I feel great satisfaction. I'm sitting there, I'm doing my projects, I'm doing great. At the end of my day, my back gets a little bit sore, I'm sitting a long day, makes sense. Maybe over time, it starts to get a little sore maybe around 2 o'clock, right? It's getting a little achy. But you have to finish the projects, you have to do your work, you have to provide your family, so you stay sitting. The pain's getting a little bit worse, but you gotta do it anyway. What if it works up to now, maybe even 9 or 10 in the morning? You barely get out of the office, you're sitting down 20 minutes. getting sore. Again, I'm probably gonna pop my pill. I'm gonna maybe put a heat pad on or something, right? And you start to think, you know what, maybe it's my sitting posture, maybe it's my ergonomics, maybe it's my stupid job, maybe it's like I have to sit there and this is not right. I have to work, I have to provide for my family, I have to pay my mortgage, I have to. What if I don't go to work today because my back's so sore? Is my boss gonna think that I'm a complainer, that I'm a whiner? Is he not gonna give me the good projects? Am I not gonna be able to like get the next promotion? And there's all these things that compile. Do you think that helps your pain? Or do you think that worsens the pain? No way it worsens. Stress, emotional factors have been shown time and time again, significantly more input than any danger or harm that are of course minor, but they're massive when the brain considers enormity what it was. If I were laying there in that hospital with my broken foot thinking, I can't walk, I can't carry my baby anymore because I have a 7-month-old and I'm going to be using crutches. I can't go back to work and I'm not going to be able to provide for my family. I don't know if I can ever afford the orthotics and all the fancy shoes that go along with having a broken, fractured foot. My pain would have skyrocketed, right? Now, it didn't at that time because I had great belief in the medical system. I have a wonderful husband who was able to take care of the kids, on and on and on. Sometimes as time goes on, there's more things that start to show up because it's taking longer to get rid of that pain. And now you've got persistent pain associated with a whole lot of emotional things. Stress, anxiety, depression, injustice. That's their fault. That car hit me, and I'm the one that's suffering. Fair. You're allowed to think that. Problem is, it's going to make your pain worse possibly too because it creates more stress, right? Even thoughts. Oh, this is such a good story. I try to be really quick because I'm going to run out of time. This is such an amazing story, I have to tell you. Because there's an amazing example of just the thoughts of pain. Just knowing that it could hurt can create your pain. So there's a great study that they put people into this little box where it was like a thing that had like gadgets all around and a little dial that went to 10. And they said, we're going to send electromagnetic waves going through this. And it's going to create some tension around your head. But I want you to go as high as you can go before it really, really hurts. Okay, but don't go to pain. You don't have to stay in there. Just get to the dial. It goes to 10, but I mean, 10, you never know. So they get in the box and they turn the dial. You know, like, no, it's okay. Get to maybe 4 or 5. They're starting to feel the waves, right? But it's not awesome. It's not terrible. I can take a little bit more. I can handle it. And they move it up to 7 or 8. And then they get to 7 and they're like, no, I got to get out. This is enough. Fascinating part. Machine wasn't even plugged in. There was no machine. It was box. And it had a fake dial. But they told them, tell us when it's going to hurt, right? You do not need pain. You do not need injury. You don't even need a plug-in to feel it. Okay? There is a volume control, thankfully and not thankfully. The brain spinal cord can change the sensitivity of pain up or down. So we've heard about the down regulation, where it was like the wounded soldier, right? And there's other stories I would tell you the acts, but I don't want to run out of time. But we can make it so we don't feel pain. It's incredible. Especially if we're able to focus away from other things. We don't have time to focus on the pain. It's incredibly powerful what we can do to downregulate the system. We can also upregulate the system in many ways. You can have things like increasing, you've got these little green dots here. When you get an input, you can actually increase the number of neuroreceptors and neurotransmitters in between the nerve, the peripheral nerve, in the spinal cord. The nerves can actually increase their nerve endings, looking for more information. So now, instead of having one pathway of nerve, those little nerves can grow other little nerves. And so it can increase the area, the surface area of where the pain is, and it'll increase the sensitivity. You can increase the speed. The spinal cord is very good at getting the increase of the speed. And it can just have an overall effect of just the nerves in the spinal cord, not even up to the brain yet, can change how much it amplifies the pain. And then there's, the more it gets used to it, the more it becomes normal. It's like if I have never driven to Costco from downtown Halifax, I get out my paper map because I'm old school, and I plot out where I'm going to go, and I go, okay, I got this light, and I'll watch for every sign, and I'll make sure I get there, and I don't know which way is better, I'll try this way today. And I get there, maybe it takes 35 minutes, but I get there, right? Imagine if I did that every week like I do now because I've got 3 kids. I know the fastest route to get to it. I avoid this road because there's too many lights. I only go this way because there's hardly any pedestrian, and I can weave in there, and I get there in 25 minutes flat, no problem. you just recreate the pain cycle, right? The first time, not so quick, it's quick, but not nearly as quick as once you've traveled that pathway, the brain goes that pathway. Now to change that, you have to learn maybe not to shove a Costco, maybe to learn the path to super sharp, right? Maybe to Sobe sometimes. Maybe you need to focus on another pathway, so that pathway to Costco is not your pathway. And that's changing persistent pain.
So with that, how you're saying there's more and more nerves that change.
Yep.
So if you've had that, say, going on for 6 years, can you change that?
Absolutely. The brain, the nerves, the spinal cord is 100% plastic. Everything is changing all the time. And it's only changing based on the input that it's getting. So if you change your input, and if you change how the processing goes on, there's zero reason why you can't change the output. I am not going to be able to say, you're going to change if you've got pain from cancer, or if you've got pain from a pathological issue that I can't deal with, right? But we can tell you that you can change how this is happening. Because it happened there in the first place, which means it can change again, right? That's why it's so important to understand that we are plastic and we can change. It is not that MRI saying you're going to have pain for the rest of your life. Okay, and there's, I think, one more. So thank goodness we've got a lot of fighters in our system. The brain, if it thinks it's in danger, it'll do anything to protect it, which is good if you're actually in danger. It'll turn things on so that if I hurt my foot, I've learned to really make sure I don't put a certain weight in a certain position so it doesn't create more danger. In that, though, my muscles get a little bit tighter because they're protecting me, they're guarding, right? My muscles might get a little bit weaker because I'm not using them anymore. And then I use ones way more, so they're going to get a little bit more work. But in the short term, totally okay. It goes past 3 months, not okay. And now we've got tight muscles, we've got sore muscles, we've got stiff tendons, we've got stiff everything. That again, is going to say, oh yeah, you're really hurt down here. We've got to make sure we grow even more nerves because something is really not healthy and we get more of this process. So all about that changing, which Tyler's going to get to talk to because I talked too long. Can you tell I'm passionate about this? Is that can change. There are improvements that you can do, and the powerhouse is actually in your brain. It's not dependent on 8 different people who will all have different views, they'll all see different things because the body changes every single day. I'll see something different maybe as someone the very next day. I don't know, it can change all the time. But your brain is the powerhouse here, and it can change things pretty well. So I'll let Tyler take over.
Okie doke. All right, so just kind of in true physio fashion right now, I just want everybody to kind of unload their discs and stand up for a second. You know, that's pretty important. We don't like people to sit for too long, so just take a quick stretch. You know, Keltie just did a fabulous job of explaining kind of that process. And now I kind of get to deliver some good news of what we can do about it. Some things that we can look at. You know, more improving the way that we know our body, because that is so important. First things first. You guys are here today. Thank you. Thank you for coming, because this is honestly the first step in the process. Having an active approach to your recovery, to your pain, is huge. People who do have that kind of type of approach have a much better success rate. I would love to say that I came up with all this stuff. Keltie would too, but these guys right here, David Butler, Laura Mosley, Patrick Wall, Ronald Melzak, they have dedicated their lives and their profession to help people like us, health professionals, and you guys better understand pain and what's happening, because it is so popular. People need to understand it, and they have realized this. So this is the first step, educating yourself, and you guys are here trying to do that today. So that is amazing. You should give yourself a little pat on the back for that one. And if you want any reference and stuff, just grab us at the end. We can lead you to their websites or books and that type of stuff as well. Okay, so this was kind of one of my first points there. Become aware of your body. Once you become aware of your body and what it's doing, it's a huge, powerful tool. Such a good tool. When we're in pain for a long time, we develop these protective patterns kind of coming in like this, or certain ways we move. You know, this creates areas of tension, creates areas of tightness, weakness, and then we compensate in some other ways. Okay? So we need to break that. When we do that, these areas are not being used. Certain muscles, certain tissues are not moving the way that they should. Therefore, they are not able to do their jobs properly. They're not able to stabilize, support, mobilize. That's what we need to learn. We need to teach these tissues how to do. Okay? I found this wicked quote there the other day. Find out your awkwardness. Figure out what you're good at, and then just do the opposite. Okay? Go towards your awkwardness. Go towards your fear. Go towards your instability, your errors, and your ignorance. Now this is what our brain has done. It has ignored these areas because you have been told that it's, oh, that's painful when I move that. When I go this way, it's painful. You know, if you just kind of sit there and you're just moving, you know, figure out what's tight. Why does it hurt when I kind of go this way, but not this way? What's tight? And that's what we're here for. You know, this is the big thing that we notice with people with persistent pain and chronic pain is they do not have this body awareness. It's huge. It's a huge tool. I highly recommend this. And that's what our next sessions will be on, is being able to do this safely and effectively. As Keltie already did a great job explaining, you know, MRIs, X-rays, CT scans, they're very important because they are able to rule out some of this nasty stuff like the cancers and that type of stuff that, you know, we really need to rule out. But just know that it might not be the cause of your pain. As Keltie said, 90% of the people will be running around with this type of stuff. Learn to breathe and be mindful. You know, we see a lot of, it's probably one of the first things we teach people is how to breathe again. You know, you tend to see people breathing up here. Our lungs go from here to about here. They're huge. And we have this thing called ventilation perfusion ratio. It's basically how much oxygen can get into your blood. So the highest ratio is down here. So if you are not using that part of your lung, you're missing out on so much oxygen to get to your tissues that our tissues need. You know, breathe slowly, gently, deeply. Use your full lung capacity. All our tissues need it. Our nervous system, as you saw Keltie point out there, it's huge, but it's only 2% of our body weight. But it uses 20% of our supply of oxygen. It needs oxygen. We need oxygen to function. But not only is that important, it gives you a time to calm down. It gives you time to de-stress. We were talking about stress and all of that stuff and how it's important. You know, you need to find out what stresses you out. And then take a deep breath. Figure out that tension. Figure out that tightness. Okay, where am I holding that? Breathe. Breathe. So it gives you that time to focus on your body again. Body awareness, it is huge. Be hopeful. Hopefully this presentation today has made you guys hopeful again. If you were not hopeful that something could be done. You know, our bodies are always adapting. Always. It's so cool. That is basically what we do. We adapt all day, every day to different situations at a physiological level and then emotional level, everything. Our brain is always processing new information. It's looking to change. It's looking to improve. Okay? So, you know, we kind of get stuck in this pain cycle, you know, that Keltie had mentioned. So we need to teach our brain again how to get out of this. Think positive, be social, eat healthy, keep your mind active, learn new things, exercise. So what we'll be trying to teach in our next session is new pain-free movements, or movements that do not increase your pain. You know, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, how dangerous is this? How dangerous is this? You know, we can increase blood flow through these movements, but I think most importantly, we can decrease some avoidance behaviors that we've been avoiding for so long because they've been painful. You know, the tissues aren't getting the necessary nutrients that they need. So that is a huge, huge tool right there that we can learn too, is decreasing those avoidance behaviors. Be more active. You know, you see a lot of people, again, with these avoidance behaviors because they're in pain. They don't like to go do certain activities. And what ends up happening a lot of the times is you just end up sitting in your coach watching TV because that's where you're comfortable. You're in a nice environment that you know is not painful. It is safe. Outdoors, you don't know what's going to happen. Be more active. Get outdoors. Get some fresh air. Even if you have to just do, 4 or 5 minute walks just around your house. Get outside, get that moving, get that tissue flowing, or that blood flowing to those tissues. Social fun. Do not let this stuff prevent you from getting together with your friends. We need to break some of this cycle of this constant output of pain. Do things that are fun. Again, how dangerous is it actually if I go for a little 5 minute walk with my friends? How dangerous is it? What is actually happening to my body right now that is dangerous? It's a pretty, when you think about that, where it's a lot of this is coming from up in here. How dangerous is this? Try and break that cycle. Sleep well, eat well, drink water. Huge, huge. Sleeping, it's tough. You see individuals who have been, suffering with persistent pain and for a while now. It impacts their sleep. Sleep is the time where our body just rests. Its tissues heal. It just takes a break. It's also the time where it consolidates our memories. It's where we kind of make new memories, where everything gets stored. It's during that time. So that's important, especially if you're just starting to learn new movements. I don't have much research behind this, but I always get people to do the gentle movements that we teach them before they go to bed. Because if you're going to learn something, it's going to be while you're sleeping, so why wouldn't it be the last thing that you learn? I just came up with the research thing. Eat well. That's a big one. Baram Jam, another big player in the persistent pain world. He had a good explanation of, right now things are very hypersensitive and through there. There's food such as sugar that can jack up our nervous system. Makes it more sensitive. And then there's other foods that you can eat. I'm not sure. I think a nutritionist or a dietitian or somebody would be way better at telling you exactly what foods there are, but that can cause some inflammatory processes in our body. Again, doing that just put good things in our body and good things will come of it. Drink water. We're 70% water. We need that for our blood flow, for our joint lubrication, and all of those things, okay? Try and be as healthy as you can. Avoid pop. Drink water instead of pop. This might be one of the biggest things that you could do. Set goals and have something to strive for. It motivates us. Tell your friends about your goals. Tell your partner, your significant other. Family and friends, let them know. Write it on your fridge so you see it every day. This is what I'm working towards. I'll be able to sweep my kitchen floor taking 5 2-minute breaks in 2 to 4 weeks. Most people will try and make that goal. I want to clean my 6-bedroom house in 2 hours. That's just not realistic. SMART goals, specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be attainable, they have to be relevant, and they should be time bound. You have to give yourself a time frame just to increase that motivation to work towards those goals. I would like to take my child to the playground for 30 minutes, or grandchild. That's pretty powerful, really. You do see that people are not able to take their child or grandchild to the playground or play with them. When you grow up, that's kind of what you look forward to, right? That is why we do what we do, so people can experience that stuff again. Make those goals. Break that down. It might not be 30 minutes right away, but I'll be able to play with my grandchild or child for 5 minutes in 2 weeks. Break that down. And that's hopefully what we'll be able to get through these interactive sessions. is get people back to these type of goals. I'd like to get back to playing bridge with my friends in 3 weeks. You know, that's important. Again, that's social. Getting out, breaking that constant output of pain. Okay. That is what we have. Thank you so much for coming. It really means a lot to both of us. As I mentioned before, this is the first step in this process. You're being active. I highly encourage you to keep being active in your recovery if you're dealing with any type of persistent pain or any pain in general. You will notice a huge difference. Right now, after this entire session, your pain is not random anymore. You know, hopefully, you understand why this might be happening. So that's huge. That's very powerful knowing that right away. If you want any more information, we have lots of blogs on our website that kind of go into more depth and some other good resources on pain. Or feel free to email us both at any point in time, any questions whatsoever. And just for our next sessions, January 10th, it'll be Keltie and I